at in terms of a starting lineup, what you want to see from Team USA?
I think he'll get guys involved, and then there's your lockdown defender at the point guard, the point of attack, right? I do like Curry. I would then go with Ant. I like Ant over Booker. I think if you look at the way the Canada game was, they looked kind of slow starting, and then they kind of got rolling.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
The staple of consistency within the AFC North, that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. 17 years under Mike Tomlin, never a losing record, never less than 8 wins.
You add Patrick Queen there over from your division rival. You take a look at that offensive line, which does have some question marks, but still a decent wide receiving core that they have, a running game that has Najee Harris, and a quarterback that's been there, done that.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Next up is Tampa, who was very impressive last year with Baker Mayfield, Evans. They hooked up a ton, and they've already shown what they can do, but they're picking this team, the Falcons, over them. Explain that to me.
Baker Mayfield's back. Mike Evans is back. Where a couple years ago, you really wondered if he finished his career as a Buck, but the Bucks wanted him to do that, and he's going to do that. He signed a 2-year deal for about $21 million a year.
Pharrell coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
They scored well. They defended like crap. Last game, they struggled to score. They defended great. We still have not seen the best out of USA basketball. So they've shown they've won different ways. They still should win absolutely the gold medal. But they're playing with fire a little bit with their play, especially when you get to the medal round and it only takes is one game to lose.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
real matchup. It's just he was so bad in year one, and to return to nearly that type of bad for a month-ish window, it just sent all the wrong messages. So the Yankees are going to have to rely on Heel. I think they can. We're going to go under the 9. Let's get big picture, though, with these teams for just a moment. The Mets are a fascinating team. We entered this season with a lot of people thinking that Pete Alonso being traded was almost a certainty. Yet now they are expected to be an above 500 baseball team. 82.5 is that win total. Plus 142 to the postseason. Not out of reach at all for the New York Mets. I think the Mets are, and I know maybe not for this season, but the second this season ends, it would become the most interesting team in baseball. You think back to when Cohen took over, and his idea was, I'm ready to spend, obviously they paid DeGrom, and, we have Verlander and Scherzer, and then I know DeGrom walked, and, they're making moves, and it just didn't pan out, right? But it was very jarring to see the New York Mets bow out of the spender race. Shohei Ohtani hit free agency. I know the idea was Ohtani wanted to be on the West Coast. He's a Dodger. He loves it. Going to win an MVP this year. Probably going to win a couple of MVPs as a Dodger. He's going to be a Dodger. I know that all worked out for sure. The Mets were ready to spend. They could have made that a difficult decision on him. They didn't. They wanted a year to reset. They wanted to let some of the prospects shine. Well, the Mets are going to hit this offseason. And again, whether that plus 142 number or not, I mean, whether they, miraculously go out there 65-1 and win a World Series, when they hit the offseason, steal Juan Soto from the Yankees. And that's kind of the last time these teams met, I had a Juan Soto Dinger Tuesday bet. And some of that is because this is a Juan Soto stage. It's a bit of a reminder for the New York Yankees. If you take a look at the Yankees' outlook, right, and their numbers are far different. Again, this team to win the American League is plus 250. 6-1 to win a World Series. They're going to be around a 100-win baseball team. That's what the books are believing. But is this their only chance with Juan Soto? That's the big question. Because Juan Soto, due to his agent being Scott Boras, due to Scott Boras taking some very real lumps in this past offseason, most notably the Blake Snell play out, Boras has to get Soto correct. Making deal for Juan Soto. So again, if you're the Yankees, what if this is the only year? Where that gets tricky and why this pertains to this season is, are the Yankees going to be more when it comes to the deadline? Is Jason Dominguez's name on the board as they try and go World Series or bust? Or can they not trade Dominguez? Because if they lose out in a Juan Soto sweepstakes, they need to flip this thing back and say, don't worry, we have Jason Dominguez ready to come up and be a superstar. It's all really interesting stuff that has to play out. Let's do a little Dinger Tuesday here for this game. Again, as someone that's on the under 9, I'm not involved with any home runs here. I know some people are looking for Jeff McNeil to get hot. He's not even inside this top 10. You know that Aaron Judge is as many homers as any other Met on a Tuesday at 4. Here is Josh Naylor, by the way. If anybody is. Six. Let's just quickly, we're going to go through the dingers and everything, but I want to people the NL Cy Young starters today and where their numbers check in. Paul Skeens, Chris Sale, and Zach Wheels go out here and anyone has a phenomenal start. How much does that change all of a sudden? That number, right? I think the bigger thing today very well could be, what if one of these, just say, of that trio, 2 of the guys are able to give you 6+ innings of 2 earned or less, right? Again, kind of just the par for the course. Now, it's probably if one of Sale, Wheeler, or Skeens is blown up today, do we see big movement? Would Skeens fall back to 10-1? Would Skeens be able to jump? Certainly in a while, but maybe got himself into this discussion that this trio all goes on the same day. And that is how you start to create separation. Because when the baseball watching, public is on the slate tonight, and they go, hey, what happened? Ooh, Wheeler got banged up a little bit. What happened with the Pirates? Well, Paul Skeens was special again. And numbers can take picks on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
What he's doing on a 5-day basis, and when he pitches at that ballpark, there's one thing you notice, there's not one empty seat.
The excitement he's brought to that city and the fact that fans are starting to come back, especially on the nights he pitches, I mean, it is so cool to see. It's so overdue, and you can't help but root for Pittsburgh.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
As of July 22nd, we start a new deal with a monster distribution platform called SportsGrid, and we'll be live every day on national radio on SiriusXM channel 159, and we will be live on their national television platform every day from 10 a.m. till noon.
Only on SportsGrid.
Technically, despite having the most wins in both the AL and all of Major League Baseball, 52 of them for New York, no longer the best winning percentage.
You expect your front offices to hit that gas pedal when it comes time to get a better team on the field post All-Star break, because the one thing that you know from the Yankees and the Orioles is what, Ben? You're going to fight with each other throughout the stretch here, and you want home field advantage.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
You know, this guy is the mad scientist. I mean, he's all about green density. So in my mind, I feel like he's going to have the green speeds dialed in, and the angles he needs to land them and all that sort of stuff. I feel like he's going to be a good spot and playing the course well. And he's going to be hitting less club into a lot of these par threes too. So I just, we're talking about using a live guy. I love Bryson this week. I'm riding with Bryson.
Only on SportsGrid.
This new sports integrity partnership, Genius Sports, is involved in this. More protection.
They said that's going to allow them to beef up their protection and add more integrity monitoring.
Game Time Decisions. Let's lock in here. It is a Tuesday, which means it is a Dinger Tuesday. We're looking to put some home run picks on the board. We did start with an under pick in the game between the Mets and the Yankees. I do think Quintana can bounce back here. I think Louis Heel could certainly be awesome as well. So that, for me, is how I push to that under 9, perhaps 9.5's appearing in some spots there. But I'm good with that under 9. There's a few other picks outside of Dinger Tuesday, but I know that's where people like to get involved, so let's get involved. And I've got 4 of them. This opens up here with a Washington National. It's going to be James Wood, though, going for the Nats. Look, this is a great game to be involved in, all right? DJ Hers of the Nats could certainly be had. The issue is, as far as going up against left-handed pitching, the Padres don't present as many troubles as they do against right-handed pitching. Louis Arise, I almost thought about taking a big bomb shot, right? 9, 10-1 almost pricing there. But I felt the Nationals were better up. Randy Vasquez is one of the most through-and-through split pitchers on the board. A righty who cannot get lefties out. He's allowing a near 450 batting average against left-handed hitters this season. My options were James Wood or Louis Garcia. James Wood has only seen 17 at-bats this year, okay, against that right-handed pitching. So I think for me, I like what I'm going to see here from James Wood. I think he's going to be able to take advantage and get a home run on the board at plus 480. I think it's also a great, great Dinger Tuesday game. Now we go over to Bobby Witt Jr., superstar Bob, who got a little bit of a boost today in that MVP market thanks to Jeff Passan of ESPN. It matters. Jeff Passan tweeting out, I said Passan, that wasn't even supposed to be a bit. Jeff Passan of ESPN mentioning that there's 2 places you can look for wins above replacement. What Baseball Reference and Fangraphs. I believe it was over on Fangraphs. Bobby Witt had become the leader. Bobby Witt is batting a preposterous 340, 18 home runs this year, 69 RBI. Hoping he can tick up in those categories, specifically the home run category tonight. Checking in at a plus 440 number. Bobby Witt Jr. going up against another through-and-through split pitcher. What do I mean by that? Jordan Montgomery, the lefty, nightmares against right-handed hitters, a 338 batting average allowed. Bobby Witt, a lot of his home runs this season have come against righties, but I'm happy to go here against the lefty. Batting second, should be plenty of opportunities. I have another pick inside this Royals game tonight. We will get there in just a moment. We go to my favorite Dinger Tuesday that we have had so far this season. That's Ezequiel Tovar. Ezequiel Tovar made it happen, man. Was that a game against the Twins, I want to say? Let's see if he can make it happen here at home, at Coors, against the Boston Red Sox. Plus 520, Ezequiel Tovar. Righty who hits righties. Cooper Criswell, a righty who struggles against righties. Big-time total, 11.5. You know Coors is a great game to be involved with as far as Dinger Tuesday goes. Tricky a little bit for me on the Boston side. Ty Blatch is someone, as a lefty, awful against right-handed bats, but he's also only gone 1 inning, right? 2 innings his last few times out. He shouldn't be an opener today, but I don't know if anybody's going to see him twice. So that kind of threw me off. I'll take the Red Sox home runs as additional wins from a Dinger Tuesday perspective, but I like Ezequiel Tovar here for the Colorado Rockies. And then late night, I think I've done this 3-4 Dinger Tuesdays in a row, but I'm taking Shohei Ohtani. Some of it is because it's Shohei Ohtani. I mean, look, I don't know. It's so bizarre. He has 5 less home runs than Aaron Judge, but I feel like Ohtani hits a home run every single night. It's really been remarkable. Crushes righties. You don't need that selling point. But Jordan Hicks has really found himself struggling as the season's ticked on. Month of June, 5.24 earned runs, ERA, a 7.71 ERA in the month of July. It's been bad. This guy was ace caliber to start the first 6 weeks or so of the season, and it's not been the same. If you look on the year, the struggles have come against the left-handers far more. So getting Shohei at plus 260, I like that. And I don't mind this as a Dinger game. I don't. Total's 9 here. Landon Knack can give up a couple as well on the Dodgers side of it. That is where my Dinger Tuesday action checks in. 4 guys, all good numbers in terms of big payouts and Shohei Ohtani. But look, we bet Ohtani at plus 150, plus 160, right? We've seen those numbers for Shohei. I think plus 260, I mean, of the 4 of them, might be the most value that you're seeing of that bunch there. Let me quickly put these on the board for people. We'll expand on them throughout the show. We mentioned that Yankees-Mets under 9. I'm also, from a totals perspective, on a Mariners-Angels over 7. Logan Gilbert and Jose Soriano, look, both really solid pitchers, but I think this game can at least get to 7 and give us that pushback there. We've got those guys kind of in the appropriate locations to fade. And then a couple of RBI shots here. And we go to the games that we've talked about for some with Dinger Tuesdays. Let's get Salvi Perez, plus 120, batting fourth, shorter Dinger number than Bobby Witt, which is one of the reasons I played Bobby for the homer, but I'm going to play Salvi for the RBI, and then Brenton Doyle for that RBI, plus 115. Very similar situation. Batting fourth, maybe Tovar doubles. Brenton Doyle's going to bring him on in at a plus 115 number. We hit a break. It's a Tuesday night. We're live with you on Game Time Decisions. Go nowhere on Sports Grid. We'll be right back.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
What he's doing on a 5-day basis, and when he pitches at that ballpark, there's one thing you notice: there's not one empty seat.
The excitement he's brought to that city, and the fact that fans are starting to come back, especially on the nights he pitches, I mean, it is so cool to see. It's so overdue, and you can't help but root for Pittsburgh.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
As of July 22nd, we start a new deal with a monster distribution platform called SportsGrid, and we'll be live every day on national radio on SiriusXM channel 159, and we will be live on their national television platform every day from 10 a.m. till noon.
Only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're locked and loaded here on a Dinger Tuesday. We're going to talk to Tom Vecchio in a little bit. Get some insight from him on the baseball board, maybe a couple of other items if time provides. But as I said, and we said this yesterday, football's going to start to kind of force its way into the mix. And there's a lot of football stories today. We're going to talk to Jason La Canfora a little bit later on in about 40 or so, about 40 or so minutes here on the show. And of those stories, right, contract stuff, Joe Burrow has new hair, whatever. The most important one to me is still Brandon Ayuk. Because Jordan Love's going to get paid, right? Matt Stafford, they figured it out. Amari Cooper, they figured it out. Brandon Ayuk is someone who has requested a trade, which means he is a market mover if he's traded. Is he a market mover if he stays? Well, kind of, a little bit. Because he cuts then into workload for guys. Deebo Samuel, Kittle, McCaffrey, Purdy, different ways with Purdy. Purdy, it's a trending up. But for Brandon Ayuk, this is the most important story right now from the market movement until anyone's contract situation seems like it's going to result in a severe holdout. CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, time will tell. But Brandon Ayuk has a trade request in with the San Francisco 49ers. Yet he did show up to camp today. John Lynch, the general manager of the San Francisco 49ers, did tell reporters that he, quote, expects he will be a big part of the team this year. And John Lynch saying all the right things. They don't plan on trading him. Certainly you don't want to lose any leverage in those negotiations. But this is probably going to come down to Brandon Ayuk more than anyone. The Niners are probably not as fearful of losing Ayuk for nothing as other teams have been in the past, right? If you just think about it, they have Brandon Ayuk's replacement currently in the building. The idea is at least in Ricky Pearsall. They might not be one-for-one talents, but in terms of who's going to be the wide receiver next to Deebo Samuel, they believe it can be Ricky Pearsall, right? That's the idea. This is a football team that wants to win at a really high level this year. So future draft compensation, while not invaluable, it does not help this team in an attempt to win a Super Bowl. And also there could be a little bit, now probably to a lesser degree than the prior two items, but if you get a phone call from a Buffalo Bills, maybe, closer to home, a Dallas Cowboys, an Arizona Cardinals, you might not want to make those deals and make teams better this year when you're trying to compete for a Super Bowl this year, which is, of course, obviously what the San Francisco 49ers are trying to do. So again, for the Niners, an ideal world, Ayuk shows up. Great. And then the next ideal world is he plays while having a trade request in. Great. And then the deadline passes, and guess what? They win. So it's up to Brandon Ayuk to make this uncomfortable if he really wants to get out. Because I don't think it's on the board he gets paid. That's the big difference. CeeDee Lamb getting paid set the line. Minus 1,000. Jamar Chase getting paid at Cincinnati, okay, minus 750. Brandon Ayuk getting paid, I would make the favorite right now. Debo's paid, Kittle's paid, Purdy's going to get paid, McCaffrey's going to get paid, first-round wide receiver drafted this year. So if you're Brandon Ayuk, you have to make them uncomfortable to get what you want. Instead of showing up to camp, you probably should reach out to James Harden, the absolute greatest of all time at getting what he wants, or at least getting out of situations he doesn't want to be in. At this moment, Brandon Ayuk is setting up to just be on the Niners, having not as good of a season as he had last year, and then hitting the market next year. Good for the Niners, not necessarily great for Brandon Ayuk. Time will tell. These are all things that we could possibly, if time provides, talk to Tom Vecchio about. But next, get some more home runs on the board. It is a Tuesday.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
What he's doing on a 5-day basis, and when he pitches at that ballpark, if there's one thing you notice, there's not one empty seat.
The excitement he's brought to that city and the fact that fans are starting to come back, especially on the nights he pitches, I mean, it is so cool to see. It's so overdue, and you can't help but root for Pittsburgh.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
As of July 22nd, we start a new deal with a monster distribution platform called SportsGrid, and we'll be live every day on national radio on SiriusXM channel 159, and we will be live on their national television platform every day from 10 a.m. till noon.
Only on SportsGrid.
We're live with the ride here on SportsGrid. It's a Tuesday night. Tom Vecchio checks in. Tom, great to talk to you. A great baseball slate we have on our hands.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It is an awesome slate, like you said, and not only do we have some home runs we can be looking at, it's also a really great pitching slate. And we're at the point of the year where I want to say it's getting late early for some of these teams, and they need to start trusting their starters just that extra inning or so, and hopefully that leads to some more overs on strikeout props.
So that is a really good starting point, because there are a few guys who maybe hit the break with a couple of odd starts, none more than Garrett Crochet. But even Chris Sale went, just relative to his prior expectations, suspiciously short in his last outing. What do you think about Sale against Cincinnati tonight?
Well, the last start I really wasn't too worried about. It was on the Sunday, if I remember correctly, it was Sunday before the All-Star break. And, giving him a little bit of extra time, who's there now, ace, I think that's what they need, especially with Max Fried on the IL. So I really like him tonight, over 7.5. It's sitting at minus 140, minus 142, wherever you can find it. He's been awesome this year, and I wasn't super high on him coming into the year, but he's got a 32.4% strikeout rate, a 14.4% swing strike rate, which is absolutely unbelievable. Cincy, they come with a 22.5% strike rate versus lefties, which is the 11th worst in the league. So it's not amazing, but it's still in the lower portion of the league, and he's been over this mark in 5 out of his last 8 starts. So they need him on the mound. They're on a 2-game losing streak right now, I believe. They need him to stop that loss. Their lineup is a mess. They're losing Albies. It's been all over the place. They signed Whit Merrifield. He already got hurt, even though he hasn't played. They need wins that they need to pick up this game against, I'm going to say, a good team in the Reds, but Sale should be able to keep them under control.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point for an Atlanta team who came out of the break, rain delay, went with a doubleheader against St. Louis, and they took that first game, and it's actually now 3 straight, if that order is correct, right? So Sale would have to kind of stop that bleeding.
Right.
I'm curious, Tom, we have today on the board Sale, Wheeler, Skeens, right?
Yeah.
Do you think I would be overstating that since they're all going today, it's just going to require movement then, since we can easily compare them all on the same exact day?
That's a good point. We don't often get all of them in action on the same day. And I mean, credit to you. You mentioned Skeens when he was, 200 to 1?
Yes.
to win this award weeks and weeks ago. But it is a good point. We are at a pivotal point, not just in the season, but also an inflection point in terms of today, where all these players are going at the same time. We have more and more sample size on Skeens to compare him to someone like Wheeler and Sale, who's also up for, comeback player of the year. So that's a good point. Today is a huge day when it comes to that award race.
I think the biggest thing would be is if one of them gets blown up. And it's relative, right? Not 8 runs, but 4 runs in 5 innings, like for one of them would be pretty bad, all things considered. 5 runs by chance, that would, I think, cause a big fall. A big fall.
Yeah, I would say if Sale goes out there and puts up 10 strikeouts and he gives up 4 or 5 runs just because they let him go a little bit longer, that I'm not too worried about. Like if he gives up a couple solo shots, but he's still racking up the strikeouts because, Cincinnati, they can be inconsistent. That I don't think will have as much of an impact, but him going 3 innings with some walks, 2 strikeouts, and 5 earned runs, that's a different story.
Yeah, I think that's very, 4 earned runs in 8 innings of work isn't a nightmare, right? Yeah. I think that's really well said. That Paul Skeens ticket is kind of the, future right now, always kind of keep that eye on. I know you're always keeping your eye on Bobby Witt. I just want to bring up, I know the hits leader ticket, but today, and I think this stuff matters, but, the main baseball reporter, at ESPN and Jeff Passan kind of tweets out that Bobby is overtaken Judge and Gunnar in wins above replacement, I think using Fangraphs, which I think is F-WAR.
Right.
That is going to, I think, draw eyes to it. Do you have any takes currently on that AL MVP race?
Judge was he minus 430 or minus 400, whatever he is right now?
It's
like,
a really
it's
big
pretty
favorite.
absurd. Right. I think that's too much. Like, I just think any player for an award, especially at this point in the season when we have over 2 months to play, I think that's just a little bit too much. There's an argument to be made for Bobby Witt. He's absolutely unbelievable. I've been high on him, since before the season started. So I could sit here all day and talk about how good Bobby Witt is and all the things that I want to see him do because I have this ticket. But, I may have to shop around and try and find a number because I think it's at plus 750 or whatever it is right now. But I may have to get on board with that as well.
Would you prefer to bet Bobby or would you prefer to bet basically anyone other than Judge plus 310?
The math on that's probably pretty tight once I actually do it, but plus 310 doesn't sound that bad, especially if you're getting equity into Gunnar Henderson as well. You may have started myself talking me into that.
Well, it's really funny because I bet Ohtani about a month ago, Tom, at like minus 105. I think it was.
Okay.
And one of my selling points on Ohtani is he should be a bigger favorite than Judge because Ohtani actually has a bigger gap versus the guys he's competing against than Judge does, right?
Yeah.
Ohtani is now minus 550, so that's kind of happened. But while I think Aaron Judge should be the favorite, I agree with you he is too big of a favorite. Let me make sure we put the home run picks on the board, though, Tom. Who are you lining up here on this Tuesday?
Really like Christian Walker for the Diamondbacks, plus 420. He has been awesome this year, especially versus righties. 18 of his 22 home runs have come versus righties. He's got a 253 ISO, great hitting weather in Kansas City, 47% fly ball rate, 39% hard contact rate. He's going up against Alec Marsh, who's allowing 2.19 home runs per 9. He has a 43.7% fly ball rate. He's giving up 510 slugging versus righties. This is an awesome matchup for runs for the Diamondbacks. I don't think this is also think it's a good game environment just for scoring overall because Montgomery for the Diamondbacks, not good. I think we're going to see plenty of offense. So it'd be Christian Walker and then Randy Arozarena for the Rays. Looking at his season-long numbers, they don't tell the full story because he has been unbelievable as of late. And, small sample sizes, I don't like to look at them too much, especially when it comes to baseball. But just in this last series versus the Yankees, he had 7 batted balls over 100 miles per hour in exit velocity. So he has trended up massively. Very, very bad start to the season, but he's been great as of late, going up against Jose Barrios, 1.36 home runs per 9. To righties this year's fly ball rate and hard contact rate are okay overall, but they're actually trending in the wrong direction for him as the year has gone on. The hard contact rate is increasing, and with a hot hitter like Arozarena at the plate at plus 500, it's a spot that I love to take tonight.
Yeah, some great numbers there, Tom, as well. Plus 425 to 1. I know you said you usually have a bar that so in terms of plus, but I was kind of making the point to people because I took Ohtani tonight, but plus 260. I feel like relatively for Ohtani, that's actually a pretty good number, Tom.
I think it is, but also, you got to use whatever boosts and promos you can find. You can find, plus 100 boosts out there. And so if you can get Ohtani, he is plus 250, but all of a sudden you can turn him into plus 350. Now we're talking
450. Yeah, I think.
So something like I think I would say the same thing about Tyler O'Neill at Coors or Rafi at Coors Night. They're like plus 250, plus 270. All of a sudden you turn it into plus 370. that's a different conversation. I can talk myself that into it a little bit more.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a ton of sense here. Tom, just quickly, because I know that you've been following it, thoughts on what you've seen from the Team USA men's hoop throughout the 5 exhibition games?
Good, but not great. What are they, 40-point favorites against South Sudan, and they won by 1 or whatever that ended up being. I will say going into their first game, LeBron over 4.5 rebounds, -113. I think it does not play a scorer role this Olympics. I think he does everything else. He'll get his points, but I think he plays that off-ball distributor depending on who's on the floor. Rebounds and assists for LeBron is probably the route to go, not scoring.
He will score, though, if they are in a close game, because despite being nearly 40, he is still the go-to guy on a team of the best players in the world, which you love to see. Tom, appreciate it. Enjoy the home runs tonight.
Yep, thanks for having me.
All right, great stuff as always there from Tom Vecchia. We got Brady Cannon stopping by next year as we get set for some 3M next right here at SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than GameTime Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into GameTime Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
What he's doing on a 5-day basis, and when he pitches at that ballpark, if there's one thing you notice, there's not one empty seat.
The excitement he's brought to that city and the fact that fans are starting to come back, especially on the nights he pitches, I mean, it is so cool to see. It's so overdue, and you can't help but root for Pittsburgh.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
As of July 22nd, we start a new deal with a monster distribution platform called SportsGrid, and we'll be live every day on national radio on SiriusXM channel 159, and we will be live on their national television platform every day from 10 a.m. till noon.
Only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back to you right here. It's GameTime Decisions. We got Brady Cannon with us on a Tuesday. It feels right, man. Brady's a world traveler, so we got to try and, lock this guy down, get some golf thoughts on a Tuesday. Brady, how are you?
I'm good, my friend. Good to be back in the saddle here talking some golf with you.
I want to talk some 3M Open, but can you just kind of give me an idea of where we are in the golf season? This feels just, for someone like myself, I feel a little like I'm spinning because we just had a major championship, and then I know the Olympics are around the corner, but the 3M Open is a tournament that I feel like is not a skip-over event. I feel like there's a level of, this matters. What is kind of the state of things right now in the golf world?
Yeah, really good question, Kevin. And absolutely, the 3M Open does matter. The next two events you don't count the Olympics. You've got the 3M Open coming up, then the Olympics, and then after that, the Wyndham Championship. So 2 regular season tour events, the Wyndham and the 3M, will be the final tournaments where players can position themselves to get into the FedEx Cup playoffs. And you have to be in the top 70 or better in the points list to advance to the postseason. So a lot of scrambling going on for a lot of people over these next few weeks between the 3M Open and the Wyndham Championship to try and get into that postseason, earn a couple extra dollars. There's 3 rounds, I believe it is, of the FedEx Cup playoffs. The first round, it's the top 70. The second round, they drop down to who is just the top 50 in points. And then the final, the grand, finale will be the Tour Championship, which is reserved for only those that rank in the top 30 in FedEx Cup points. Right now, number 1 in FedEx Cup points, no surprise, is Scotty Scheffler. Number 2, no surprise, is Xander Schauffele. And, it's pretty much all the luminaries when you roll on down the top 10, top 20, that top 30. So, yeah, absolutely. These next 2 events mean a lot for guys that are trying to get in, not only to that top 70, but also to try and get into the top 50 and eventually try and get in to the top 30.
And it seems kind of pretty clear, right? There is no one that is going to be at the 3M Open that is going to be at the Olympics. And at the Olympics, Scotty, Xander, Rory, Ludwig, Wyndham Clark, Colin Morikawa, Hovland, the world golf rankings, that's where those guys are. So it makes them for a really interesting 3M Open odds board, Brady, where the starting point is, from what I see, right? Finau at 11-1, Sam Burns at 18, and then we got 20 or deeper. So it's a much different kind of 3M Open than we probably get on a normal season.
Yeah, I really like it. I think the way it sets up on the schedule is good. You're right. You have a little bit of a watered down field, not only coming off of a major championship, but you head into the Olympics where Xander Schauffele, by the way, is the defending gold medalist there, coming off of the win of the Open Championship. So, yeah, you've got a lot of guys in this field that are, some up-and-comers in the game and are really vying for that postseason positioning. I played guys that are kind of all over the board. You know this, Kevin, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, golf, whatever. Motivation is very difficult to handicap in any sport because it's not quantifiable. It's like trying to play sideline psychologist, So you take a guy like Tom Hoge, who I like this week. He's 20th in the FedEx Cup point standing. So his postseason is secure, but he also has to keep playing really well to not drop out of that top 30 in order to get a seat at the table come mid-August or late August, rather, for the Tour Championship. Adam Hadwin is a guy that I played this week who is currently sitting 34th. So he has motivation to get into that top 30. He also has motivation to get onto that President's Cup team, which will be played in September. The first 6 guys in the President's Cup points are automatic picks. The next 6 guys will have to be captain's picks. He currently sits 11th on that list, and the President's Cup is being played in his native Canada. So there's a lot of motivation there for him to make that squad. So, it's an interesting handicap when you get towards these playoffs, the President's Cup, the Ryder Cup. This time of the year, there's a lot of motivational factors for a lot of different guys on tour.
Yeah, so you kind of mentioned then a few of the guys that you're targeting, Brady. Can you kind of give us an idea and you mentioned motivation, right? Which is interesting because that's probably a newer factor than what you have to kind of, for each of these tournaments. What type of golfer do you feel like you're looking for at the 3M Open based on the course and the history and form and things like that?
Right. And that still has to be first and foremost in your handicap, Kevin. You can't go 100% motivationally based, in my opinion, because like I say, it's not quantifiable. Guys can't necessarily just flip a switch and decide, I better start playing really well because I want to make the postseason, But it is a factor. I mean, it gets people's attention. It has them possibly more focused than they might be at some event that does not matter to them. What have you? You can figure, you can spin it any way you want. But as far as the stats and the golf course, it's a pretty basic TPC golf course that we see regularly on tour, TPC Twin Cities. Fairways are a little bit narrower. You've got a lot of water out there. I think it's going to be strokes gained off the tee. I think you're going to need to be really good off the tee, long and straight, total driving, if you will, to avoid the water, keep the ball in the fairway, avoid that rough. The greens are really big. Hitting greens in regulation should not be too difficult. When you miss, you're going to need to scramble, and you're going to have to get hot with the putter for a few days. So that's really the skill set there. If you look at the history of who's won here in the past, it's been big hitters and ball strikers. This course hosted a senior tour, a Champions Tour event for many, many years, and 3 of the last 5 were won by Kenny Perry, who's like the epitome of a ball striker and a total driver. As far as the PGA Tour, there's been 5 previous editions. Matthew Wolff, Cameron Champ, and Tony Finau have all won. Those are big hitters. So I really honed in on guys that can hit it far, ball strikers, and came up with Hoagie and Hadwin, motivational reasons there, certainly ball strikers, and then also Chan Kim, a long shot, and Matt Wallace at 80-1. So, yeah, a little bit of everything on the board this week. We'll see if we can land on a long shot.
Should be a great 3M. We're going to stick with Brady Cannon. We're back right here on SportsGrid for just a moment.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
What he's doing on a 5-day basis, and when he pitches at that ballpark, there's one thing you notice: there's not one empty seat.
The excitement he's brought to that city, and the fact that fans are starting to come back, especially on the nights he pitches, I mean, it is so cool to see. It's so overdue, and you can't help but root for Pittsburgh.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
As of July 22nd, we start a new deal with a monster distribution platform called SportsGrid, and we'll be live every day on national radio on SiriusXM channel 159, and we will be live on their national television platform every day from 10 a.m. till noon.
Only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back right here. We are on Game Time Decisions. Brady, I'm curious, just one other guy at the 3M, then I might just a quick kind of Olympics question for you. But have you looked at all into, and we've talked about him, you and I, very briefly, but Michael Thorne Bjornsson, because he's kind of that next wave of college golfer who people expect to be incredible. He had that T2 performance at the John Deere. The other performances on tour this year have certainly not been my, a pair of missed cuts at T39 and T61. But again, when we see a bit of a depressed field this week at the 3M, it's not terrible, right? But it's, again, a lot of these guys are getting ready for the Olympics or off of an Open Championship. I would think that Thorne Bjornsson has a high ceiling. I seen him at 65-1 to win this tournament. Is he somebody that you have your eye on heading into Thursday?
He got my attention for sure, but I just wonder if, he's going to be kind of a fancy pick, a trendy pick, if you will, because he has been pretty good. He hasn't been great, but he's turned a lot of heads with some stretches of streaky play. If you remember, I believe it was I can't remember if it was the John Deere or the Rocket Mortgage, but he got real hot for a minute. I think it was actually the John Deere. When Davis Thompson won, it looked like Thor Bjornsson was maybe going to be able to catch him, but then he made a bogey and stalled and kind of fizzled out. So I'm not quite ready to put my eggs in his basket just yet. I mean, certainly the guy is clearly an up-and-comer, and I wouldn't be surprised by another good finish this week. But I went with more, proven veterans. Now, Chan Kim, that one's kind of, a flyer out of the box who's been playing really well as of late. There's motivation for him as well. He's currently 97th in the FedEx Cup points list, and he's been improving upon that quite a bit recently. He finished 12th at the John Deere, 10th at the Ixca or whatever. I can't remember the one. I believe it was in Kentucky when everybody was at the Scottish Open. It was the alternate event. He finished 10th there. And then 29th last week at another alternate event, the Barracuda in Tahoe, while they were playing the Open Championship. So 3 straight really good finishes for Kim. He's excellent in total driving. He makes a ton of birdies, and he's excellent on the approach game. So he was kind of my random flyer where, and he's right around the exact same price as Thor Bjornsson. I got Kim at 60-1. You mentioned Thor Bjornsson at 65. So yeah, I think there's a lot of guys in that price range that you can kind of take some flyers on this week because, as you mentioned, the field's a little bit watered down. You're likely to get a fairly random winner here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really fascinating little week of golf here. Brady, just early kind of look at the Olympics. I know there's still time for everyone to kind of go through all this, but do you know anything about this course? We've got an odds board with Scotty at a plus 310 and Xander at a 6, which is a really interesting setup there. Any early thoughts from you with the Olympics coming up?
Yeah, and of course, I'm going to dive in deeper. The odds are kind of just now being released. We haven't seen a whole lot of properties out there hanging numbers yet on the Olympic golf field, but it is a loaded field. You've got Jason Day and Minwoo Lee representing Australia, Tommy Fleetwood and Matt Fitzpatrick representing England, Ludwig Åberg and Alex Noren representing Sweden. You mentioned the Americans, Victor Hovland representing Norway. Yeah, it's going to be a great competition, and it's a golf course we are familiar with. Used to be a regular on the European Tour, Les Golf Club National in France, of course. And there was a Ryder Cup here. I want to say it was 2017 or 2018, maybe. I can't recall exactly. When they had a Ryder Cup here that was won by the Europeans. And by the way, Tommy Fleetwood went 4-1 in his Ryder Cup matches at this same golf course that year in that European Ryder Cup victory. So something to note there. The other thing of note is Alex Noren has won. I think I want to say it was the French Open. I can't remember the exact name of the golf tournament, but played at this golf course. And it was, again, right around 2018, 2019. Alex Noren won a tournament here. So Noren here representing Sweden, Fleetwood here representing England have both had a lot of have had a lot of success at this golf course in the past.
It's going to be interesting, and I've kind of been telling people, I think betting-wise, people are excited about the Olympics, but people also like to bet what they know. The men's U.S. Olympics team, people know all those guys because they're all NBA players. Again, this golf board, Scotty, Xander, Rory, Ludwig, Morikawa, Rahm, Lowry, Hovland, Fleetwood. Listen, as Brady said, star-studded, and people are going to be involved with the Golf Olympics, no doubt about it. Appreciate it. Great stuff from Brady. We'll check in with that baseball board next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
What he's doing on a 5-day basis, and when he pitches at that ballpark, there's one thing you notice: there's not one empty seat.
The excitement he's brought to that city, and the fact that fans are starting to come back, especially on the nights he pitches, I mean, it is so cool to see. It's so overdue, and you can't help but root for Pittsburgh.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
As of July 22nd, we start a new deal with a monster distribution platform called SportsGrid, and we'll be live every day on national radio on SiriusXM channel 159, and we will be live on their national television platform every day from 10 a.m. till noon.
Only on SportsGrid.
We're live with you right here on a Tuesday night. Kevin Walsh on Game Time Decisions. And joining us is Jason La Canfora. He's been covering the NFL for a long time. I'm sure many familiar when he stopped by with us during the Pro Football Today Sundays on a regular basis. Jason, good to talk some ball with you, man. Again, the football, the news is heating up, and again, it's approaching fast.
Yeah, it is. Pretty much everybody in camp now. We've got a lot of quarterback contract drama, which obviously generates a lot of attention on the airwaves and the like. But yeah, fake football's really pretty much here, and real football's around the corner.
I am sure we're talking preseason, which at some point we will be talking and betting on preseason and betting on the Ravens in preseason, because that's usually what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Ravens, Jason, it's so interesting because it was not all that long ago that they were trying to figure out the Lamar contract. And due to that situation, I think it left Harbaugh largely silent on Lamar, and he was trying to stay out of it, right? And it's incredible how quickly it changes when you lock into a guy, and he's like, well, we think he could be the greatest quarterback of all time, which is awesome, and you always want to be able to say those things. But, man, it also then served as a reminder of that AFC title game. And I'm sure that, you and I got to talk on that day heading into that game, and every time I think back to it, it is impossible, truly impossible, to understand what they were doing on that day. And I am curious what you think about Baltimore a month out from it, probably being really time to get into it, but what you think about Baltimore heading into this season.
Well, I was on the Chiefs in that game. I didn't think it would be that script, though, where the Ravens literally undermined their own opportunity to win by trying to show off some fancy downfield passing game that really didn't exist in the best of times for them, and not getting heavy and running at a Chiefs defense that I think, especially if they would have ran out of heavy personnel, they could have done a lot of damage, and that would have set up, some of those deep balls out of, again, 12 and 13 personnel, not 11 with all those little wide receivers running around. But regardless, look, around here in Baltimore, Lamar Jackson's going to be judged from now on, not on how many more MVPs he wins, but what this team does in the postseason. It's all about January. And it is a little bit convoluted to be talking about him as maybe the greatest ever when in Arrowhead in real time, we're watching somebody crown from him in real time. Like if they do three-peat, we're now talking about things that Tom Brady has never done before. And Mahomes obviously is still very much in his prime. So the Ravens are an interesting team. The Derrick Henry signing is going to force people to play them a little differently. I'm sure they'll see more 8-man boxes again. I do think they're going to lean much more into 12 and 13 personnel than they did a year ago. I think they have some matchup opportunities to beat people without getting a whole lot out of their wide receiving core. And I also think, defensively, they'll be fine. They're not going to win the Triple Crown like last year, right? First team ever to lead the league in points allowed, in takeaways, and sacks. That's not going to happen, but I do think they'll be very good. The early schedule is tough. And the way I'm playing the Ravens is like rookie defensive coordinator, no Patrick Queen, no Jadeveon Clowney, right? They're facing Burrow and Mahomes and Allen, like right off the bat. A lot of good quarterbacks. Dak, too. I'm going to try to jump their win total in October. I think they may struggle a little bit in September. I think there'll be learning curves with this new coordinator. There were for Mike McDonald his first year till they got Roquan Smith. So I'm kind of laying in the weeds on them from a betting perspective. I think there'll be value there late September, early October to play some Ravens futures then.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because the thing with Lamar and Baltimore as a whole, right, is, they really don't have bad seasons, right?
No.
They're no matter what. Now, they're at that weird point where nothing they do in the regular season is really going to matter until they do it in the playoffs. But from a win total angle, it does matter very much so if you can catch a live 9.5, 8.5 on a football team with their type of pedigree. You mentioned some of the contract stuff. Some stuff seems like it's going to be messy. Some stuff should be pretty easy. The messy stuff coming out of the Meadowlands, the Jets, Hassan Reddick, this whole thing feels really weird because, he's not even shown up at any point for the Jets. He was traded there. He wanted to be traded, but I guess not to the Jets. I don't know why the Jets aren't ready to pay him. Maybe you have a better read on this situation than I do, Jason. I don't know what's going on here.
No, Kev, they're a joke franchise, man. It's as simple as that. Like, there are no adults in the room. The owner is a buffoon. He's proven time and time again to be a buffoon. The GM has been dealt a bad hand because he works for a buffoon. The head coach is completely out of his depth. The offensive coordinator is a glorified water boy Bobo for the quarterback. The quarterback is over-empowered. They still don't have much of an offensive line, and the defense should be their strength. And we're talking about a guy who's been one of the better value pass rushers in the NFL the last 4 years, and they're already at war with him before he's ever played a snap. Like, you get this stuff negotiated or at least hashed out to some degree with his representatives before you negotiate this trade. It just shows you the difference between a Howie Roseman run organization where they knew what they were up against with this player and they're able to pawn him off on somebody else in real time without them figuring out the contract first, which should have been a prerequisite to any trade. People I talk to around the league are baffled by this to some degree, but then again, they're really not because it's the Jets. Look, I talked to a lot of people for the Washington Post, reported on this quite a bit in real time. Go back to Aaron Rodgers last season as a starter. He wasn't pushing the ball downfield. You can tell me he had a boo-boo thumb, whatever. It was the highest percentage of check downs in his career, highest percentage of passes at or behind the line of scrimmage. There wasn't the off-script plays, the ability to hold the ball and make something happen, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. That was gone. And this is not Tom Brady, who played till he was 41 by living and breathing football 24/7, 365, by dragging people in the middle of a pandemic to fields and violating NFL laws when nobody's supposed to be playing football, getting guys together to galvanize his new team. This guy doesn't even show up for mandatory work. Fade the Jets. You can still get them plus 135 to miss the playoffs.
The biggest concern that I have from them is Rodgers getting hurt in the fashion that he did, which was a really, really unfortunate thing for everyone involved. It happening that quickly, it was almost a fluke. But there is very real concerns that he can stay healthy actually over a full season now at his age.
Of course.
And even if Jason, run through it all and say, man, I kind of like XYZ, he gets injured in week 10, that's on me as a bettor. And that's probably why I could only fade ultimately, right? Yep. Or take a really, really big ticket item. Let's make this easy transition before we let you get out of here. And hopefully we'll be able to talk a couple of times before the season gets underway. But his replacement
is going to get paid? I mean, it feels like the Packers and Jordan Love will get this deal done
Absolutely.
sooner than later, no?
That's an adult franchise. You know, his representation understands the situation. We're still in limbo with Tua. We're in limbo with Dak. He knows this system. The beautiful thing here is all the years he spent as an understudy just getting like the mentals right, making sure he and LaFleur built a relationship. All that stuff is baked in the cake. The fact he only started for one full season doesn't matter. You look at what he did from the middle of the season till the end, week 8 to week 17, led the NFL in touchdown passes. He did it without having to spoon feed or force feed anything. It wasn't gimmicky, right? It wasn't predicated on any one other individual teammate being a stud. It was collective. They're going to be a better offensive line. They're going to be better for their playoff experience. They will pay him. They've always paid their quarterback. And I love the Packers to win that division. I love the Packers to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl.
All right. You're ready to go, Jason. That's fantastic.
Oh, I'm fired.
I like that.
I have faded the heck out of one team in green on the East Coast and put a lot of money backing another team that wears green in the Midwest.
You know, what's funny is I'm tempted to ask you who's the AFC representative, but I feel like we'll leave that hanging for people. And again, at some point we'll get there. Jason Lockenford stopping by here on SportsGrid. Enjoy those Orioles, Jason.
Thank you, brother.
All right, we're taking a quick break here. We'll update that baseball board. Has St. Louis touched Skeens? Probably not. We'll find out on the other side.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
What he's doing on a 5-day basis, and when he pitches at that ballpark, there's one thing you notice: there's not one empty seat.
The excitement he's brought to that city and the fact that fans are starting to come back, especially on the nights he pitches, I mean, it is so cool to see. It's so overdue, and you can't help but root for Pittsburgh.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
As of July 22nd, we start a new deal with a monster distribution platform called SportsGrid, and we'll be live every day on national radio on SiriusXM channel 159, and we will be live on their national television platform every day from 10 a.m. till noon.
Only on SportsGrid.
All right, what do you say, Game Time Decisions? We're back here, and for the first time in a long time, Paul Skeens has allowed a hit. The first 2 1/3 innings here against the Pirates, he was still working, no-hitter style. That's how he hit the All-Star break. That's also how he hit the All-Star game. Soto walked. You knew he would. You knew Soto would walk. He's got 2 strikeouts right now. His ERA is at a 1.83. Some rain in Atlanta. Looks like it's going to slow that game down. And then Wheeler gets out there at 7:40. So Let's see if it's it should not be moving as it's happening, but I am curious. Still sit there. So that plus 550, I haven't mentioned this. There's been a lot going on, All-Star break, everything, but that number did come back from 5 to 1. And sales continue to trend as the favorite. So that's kind of why I talk about today being such an important day for these Cy Young candidates. If Chris Sale is brilliant, he could become our first minus money favorite in the market. It's absolutely there. Plus 110, he's not far off, right? If Zach Wheeler struggles and Skeens continues on his, at this moment, trajectory, I think it's very on the board he jumps Wheeler. I really do believe that. I would say Skeens today's lowest number Paul Skeens could finish today at 3 to 1. That's where my mind's at. 280? I don't know how much lower we can go with that. It's going to depend on a lot of factors, though, right? Today is not just about Skeens. See, that's kind of one of the big changes now that they've shifted this Paul Skeens number so much. It's not just about him anymore. If you have Paul Skeens futures that you're looking to bet, I'm just going through myself as I've followed this 200 to 1 number. Whenever Paul Skeens was going, that's what I would check. But I was never checking on Sale, Suarez, Glasnow. Were they struggling? Because you could tell that the number with Paul Skeens wasn't about anybody else's greatness or struggles. It was about him singularly. Now that he's up here, you have to check on what Wheeler does. And you have to check on what Sale does. You largely don't have to check on anybody else. Again, the guy right behind Skeens is Tyler Glasnow. He's not even healthy right now. Suarez is out of it. Ronaldo Lopez is out of it. Just through the numbers, right? It would be really a big-time stunner if it wasn't one of these three that we have highlighted there for you. Odds for one of those three guys to win it would be massive. I don't even know. I would have to sit down and figure it out kind of deal, but it would be a huge, huge number. Rightfully so. But now that you're boxed into that trio, it is about who is going to be able to separate and who falls back from the pack. Other updates on the baseball board. We had a Yerfie between Baltimore and Miami with a Jordan Westberg single knocking in a run. But now at the bottom of the second, the Marlins have taken a 2-1 advantage here, and they actually have 2 on, nobody out, so that team's looking to get a little dangerous against the Orioles here. As a dog, no surprise there. Albert Suarez is someone who's, the ERA looks really good. You can kind of tell it's, coming back to normal, and now it's above a 3. So Miami, as a dog, trying to get involved here. No runs first inning, Guardians, Tigers. Of course, St. Louis, Pittsburgh. No runs first inning. No runs first inning, Nats, Padres, which is not what we're looking for. We're looking for a James Wood home run in this game, but he lined out in his opening at-bat. Both of these teams actually with one hit only thus far. Jackson Merrill with the hit for the Padres, and then Keibert Ruiz with the home run, or with the hit, there. Lipscomb just got the second hit of the game for the Nats, so they now have a leadoff double with an opportunity to get a little dangerous there. First inning check-in with Toronto and Tampa. Vladdy Jr. just got a walk to keep the Yerfie hopes alive, but it was 3 up, 3 down for Tampa, and then it was the first 2 up and down for Toronto. So Justin Turner would need an extra base knock here to try and drive in Vladdy, or certainly at minimum just keep that inning alive for anybody who maybe you have some Blue Jays score first bets, anything of that nature. Yankees and Mets here. Clean work for Louis Heel in that opening inning with 2 strikeouts as well. The Yanks today, a lot of people, Jamadi Jones getting the start, batting leadoff, J.D. Davis batting fourth. The lineup is tough, man. The lineup is tough. Carlos Navarez is in the mix here. DJ LeMahieu. Remember when DJ LeMahieu was one of the best hitters in baseball? That was not that long ago, I swear. 2020 pandemic season, 364 batting average. 2024, a 181 batting average. And this is coming off of the game where he hit his first home run. He raised the batting average. That's crazy. He was so good. Multiple batting champions. And he's batting 181. Not great, Bob. Not great. Let's quickly just put those picks on the board for you again for anything that has not started yet in the baseball world. Upcoming Dinger Tuesdays, it's going to be Bobby Witt Jr., plus 440. It's going to be Ezekiel Tovar, plus 520. It's going to be Shohei Ohtani, plus 260. RBIs on Salvi Perez, plus 120. And Brenton Doyle of the Colorado Rockies at plus 115. And involved with an over in Mariners Angels at 7. That number was at minus 110 there. That's a Logan Gilbert, Jose Soriano game there. So that's kind of where the baseball board is right now. We come on back. We did get to see for the first time, well, I guess the second time, the Team USA women's team, but first time in international competition, 20.5 point favorite against Germany, covered, under, as they get set for Olympic action. And, of course, we have the men's team, which begins on Saturday, and we have the Olympics really getting underway tomorrow. And, of course, we're going to be covering that here throughout on SportsGrid. I know the Sports Rage crew's done a great job getting a number of Olympic futures out there, some of the medal count props that are on the board, and we can continue to go through that as well. Let's hit a quick break. Be right back. More Game Time decisions on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
What he's doing on a 5-day basis, and when he pitches at that ballpark, there's one thing you notice, there's not one empty seat.
The excitement he's brought to that city and the fact that fans are starting to come back, especially on the nights he pitches, I mean, it is so cool to see. It's so overdue, and you can't help but root for Pittsburgh.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
As of July 22nd, we start a new deal with a monster distribution platform called SportsGrid, and we'll be live every day on national radio on SiriusXM channel 159, and we will be live on their national television platform every day from 10 a.m. till noon.
Only on SportsGrid.
Back to right here on SportsGrid, Game Time Decisions Tuesday night style. And the Olympic women's team did play for the first time today, a minus 1,800 favorite to win gold. They've won, I don't know if the exhibitions are included, because that number would have been, obviously, they would have added one today, but 55 straight games. 55 straight games, Teams USA women. So look, the expectation is they are going to run through everyone. Today they were a 20.5-point favorite against Germany. Their opening game against Belgium, they are a 19.5-point favorite. The second closest odds belong to Australia and Spain, both listed at 22-1. So you could probably expect USA to be just kind of ballparking here, 14, 15, 16-point favorites in those games. And that's like the floor. What's interesting, though, is, so let's just say the number against, and I'm just going off of today's Germany, or use the Belgium number, right? So Belgium, they, being Team USA, is a 19.5-point favorite against, right? And Belgium outright is 30-1. Australia and Spain are 22. So maybe that number's like 16.5. Which is 4 points more than what Team USA was to like Serbia and Canada. So they're still triple the favorite to win the whole thing. That's interesting. I don't know. Maybe that would argue that the USA women are too strong, or that there's still some level of wiggle room on the men's side. On the men's side, we did see the awards movement that was expected, which is LeBron becoming the favorite to win tournament MVP. What's interesting, though, is he's not the only mover. These must have been, and man, this is why I think people are going to be looking to bet the Olympics a little bit more this year. Some stagnant numbers. And it's not going to come probably on the game-to-game stuff, but it's probably going to come a little bit more on the the additional markets, if you will. LeBron is now 4-1. He was plus 750. Durant's now plus 450. He was 9-1. Steph was plus 650. He's now 5-1. I mean, they just completely flipped this market here over on DK, where they hadn't touched it until the exhibitions closed. Yet they were leaving it up and available. I think that's just a little interesting to see. And kind of what got them to that decision there and I don't know if that's bets. I don't know if this is something that we've talked about with Dave Sharapan before, but sometimes you kind of poke your head around. What's everybody else doing? Well, over on FanDuel, we had mentioned that they had moved those markets a lot, and LeBron had been listed as the favorite over on FanDuel, which he is plus 340. The Durant number is 9-1, though. So now you're getting double the Durant number on FanDuel. It's really interesting that DK wants that Durant protection. The thing is, I don't disagree. So if you look at the way the narrative has built up for Team USA, right? The 5-game exhibitions, the 5 games that they played, right? It goes up and down, but what we saw play out was they then fell short of expectations. They did not cover in more games than they did, but more specifically, they ended up playing 3 close games, right? Nearly lost to South Sudan, nearly lost to Germany, and had to hold off Australia, is the better way to put it, right? Ran away from Canada, dominated Serbia. Again, there's absolutely a level of irony in the 2 best teams being the teams that they won comfortably against. But what happened by the end of the Germany game was a consensus, well, when Kevin Durant gets back, life will be a lot easier. Which, by the way, is true, and all of the people who just hate this basketball team, just stop talking about them. You do come off really silly to people who are kind of aware of what's going on. Being like, oh, you guys think this team's... Like, Kevin Durant, who is going to be, at the end of this tournament, accepted as the best men's USA basketball player of all time through the scoring and the gold medals of it all, right? Hasn't played a game. But if Durant comes back and then Team USA wins every game by 15+, he might end up getting more credit. If he leads this team in scoring, which, would that be all that surprising, might get more credit. He's plus 790, by the way, to lead them in scoring. Something to consider. Quick break. We're live to here at SportsGrid. Joe Madden up next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
What he's doing on a 5-day basis, and when he pitches at that ballpark, there's one thing you notice: there's not one empty seat.
The excitement he's brought to that city, and the fact that fans are starting to come back, especially on the nights he pitches, I mean, it is so cool to see. It's so overdue, and you can't help but root for Pittsburgh.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
As of July 22nd, we start a new deal with a monster distribution platform called SportsGrid, and we'll be live every day on national radio on SiriusXM channel 159, and we will be live on their national television platform every day from 10 a.m. till noon.
Only on SportsGrid.
Live on SportsGrid, Game Time Decision style. We've got Joe Madden helping us out here with the baseball board. Joe, was it a nerfy day for you? Because it's been a nerfy day for the baseball board so far. I think only one Yerfie has checked in on this slate.
Yeah, those Nerfies are racking up. The St. Louis Cardinals, Pittsburgh Pirates. You had to love that pitching matchup. Only question mark was Lance Lynn in that one, but he came to play. So the Nerfie hitting there, and I love it. And the Washington Nationals, San Diego Padres, another nice Nerfie spot as they roll into the top of the fourth here. But we're seeing bases loaded for the Padres and my Blue Jays. You know I'm fading them today. They have they've allowed one run to the Tampa Bay Rays. And Kevin, just quick, that total is still sitting now at 7.5 for the Mets and the Yankees. Those runs are coming in the Subway Series at some point. We know we can't trust the Mets bullpen.
Yeah, I'm on that under at 9. So hopefully there's kind of enough breathing room, Joe, before. Did you place any Paul Skeens related bets, who's currently through 4 innings, allowed only 1 hit, but only 3 strikeouts for him? Probably a touch disappointing.
Yeah, that is a touch disappointing because I did play a strikeout prop in this one, taking him 7+ strikeouts at the -102. And then I did fire up that number to 9+ strikeouts at +196. But I think he can get in deep enough into this game that we can at least hit that 7+ strikeouts. I also looked at the Pirates laying the 1.5. Now the runs aren't coming now, but I do think you can still jump on the Pirates laying the 1.5 at +142. I believe in this team over the St. Louis Cardinals. I think it's only a matter of time before they hit Lance Lynn here in this one, Kevin.
Yeah, I think that's certainly fair, but this game is trending under right now between the Pirates and the Cardinals. It's funny. I looked at that game. I wanted to bet under, but they posted that total lower than I thought they would. So a nice job, I guess, by them, as this is currently a scoreless baseball game. Padres did not capitalize. That game being scoreless is surprising to me. Those are not good pitchers going in that game. But I guess maybe I'm not giving the Nationals enough credit, Joe, to get out of some trouble.
Kevin, when do you ever give the Nationals enough credit out there? This is a team that actually can come out strong. I'm kind of disappointed the runs haven't come either because I didn't trust either pitcher in this matchup. And while I thought that Nerfy could come in it, I was also looking at the Washington Nationals for their team total over the 4.5. So there is a lot of ball still to be played. I still think it has a value to their team total to that over. Once this team gets going, they can put those runs on the board.
We did see a Yankees home run. I, by the way, took James Wood a Washington National home run. So, I mean, listen, I'll say what I say, but ultimately we'll bet what we need to bet. Joe, let's get to this baseball board. Right now, it looks like some weather could delay the game in Chicago, but people still have plenty of time to get some action in with the Cubs matchup against the Milwaukee Brewers. What do you like in that one, Joe?
I think this is going to be really interesting. We look at the Brewers, and they definitely have the stronger offense and the stronger bullpen here. So I do think they can record the win. I'm looking at Jason Talon here of the Chicago Cubs, though, to go over his outs today. I think this number is too light, 17.5. To the over at -130. This is fourth start versus the Brewers this season, and he is going phenomenally deep into games, especially at home. We've been able to see him go into the seventh inning in his last two games at home, and I think he has every ability here versus the Brewers to do that again. I'm looking at this one. Colin Rea is getting the start here for the Brewers. His ERA is nice and strong, 3-1 on the road with a 3.86. I think we have two pitchers that can really limit the bats on both sides, go deep on both sides of the ball, and this to be a lower scoring one, Kevin. That total sitting at 8.5. I do think we go to the under, but at the end of the day, it's Talon who I have the most faith in to go the deepest in this game. So give me over 17.5 outs at -130 for him.
All right, Joe, what about this matchup here with the White Sox and the Rangers? Garrett Crochet gets the ball, and, you know, Crochet is some props out there that seem like this could be a normal start. He went one inning in the All-Star game, which is only one less inning than when he went in his last start before the All-Star break. So I backed away from this one. What are you doing in this game?
Yes, this is scary for how long they're going to put Crochet out. Like you said, Kevin, he hasn't had a very long leash out there. We saw him only 4 innings versus Miami and 2 versus the Pittsburgh Pirates. So will they showcase him more than 3 innings in this one? I really don't know. So I had to go off the Chicago White Sox in this game. I wanted to make a play on Crochet here and the Chicago White Sox, but I'm going to look at their total. I do think the Chicago White Sox have the ability to get the runs on John Gray. He's been struggling out there for Texas. We look at his ERA. He's got a 3.96 ERA in his last 3. He's only pitched 10 innings. He hasn't gone deep enough because he's allowed 6 earned runs in those 10 innings. So I think he's going to have those struggles out here. If Chicago's bats can hit him early in this one, I do think they have every opportunity of going over their team total of 3.5 runs. We're getting that at +104. I actually thought this total looked kind of light, and I think they've made the total this way because they think Crochet will go further into this game, but I don't know if he will, Kevin. So cautious with any Crochet props, but I do like the Chicago White Sox to hit John Gray.
Yeah, fair enough there. It's a really kind of good way to just remove yourself from the Crochet potential oddness of it all. I am sure there are people who have just lined up his Ks under for this game because truly it was one of those things. He threw 28 pitches against the Pirates. 2 innings. No hits, 4 Ks. There is no matter what his stat line is tonight, I can't tell you I'll be surprised, but I also cannot tell you I can expect anything. So I think, Joe, it makes a lot of sense there. What about the Royals keeping it with the AL Central? They're going to host the Arizona Diamondbacks here on a Tuesday night.
I can't trust Jordan Montgomery coming out here for the D-backs. I think the Kansas City Royals are going to be able to hit him in this one to Kevin. I'm taking them straight up on the money line. They're coming in right around that -110 mark, and this is a team that has been strong at home. They're sitting 35-18 straight up at home, and we're getting such a fair price for them here, especially versus Jordan Montgomery. Now, he's coming back from that knee injury, And I don't know how he's going to be because we look at him before he went on that IR and he was absolutely struggling out there. And we look at him in his career versus the Kansas City Royals, and those numbers aren't great. He's gone 0-1 with a 5.74 ERA. So I'm looking for the Royals to come out nice and strong in this one. We know there are so many bats that can hit. I'd look at Bobby Witt Jr. probably for the RBI or the home run in this one. Montgomery on the season, that ERA is a 6.44, 6-5. I can't trust him, Kevin.
Yeah, no, I can't either. I actually nearly put together a full Royals card involving Furman and Lofton. Ultimately, I just kept with the Salvador Perez RBI as well as the Bobby Witt Jr. home run. And just to, we got plenty more to baseball that we're going to get to with Joe here, but just, quickly on Bobby, I saw today that the Royals, with their victory, I believe yesterday, which is their fourth in a row, matched last year's win total. And I'm someone who played the Royals win total under this year. I was actually juxtaposed against some of the crew behind the scenes, so a one up for them. And to me, I just didn't know if they would be able, in a single season, to add what I believe is going to be 20 or over 20 wins to get to that win total over. They're going to get well past that, right? I mean, this team's current trajectory sitting here at 56 and 44 is, they're going to flirt a maybe 90-win season, the Kansas City Royals. We have not necessarily seen those type of narratives factor into Major League Baseball's MVP voting the way they more so would with an NBA or maybe even an NFL. But if, hey, the Royals won an extra 35 games, Yankees can't say that. Orioles can't say that. It would be a separator for Bobby Witt in that AL MVP race. It's just something to consider. We're right back with Joe Madden. It's a quick break. We're live on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
What he's doing on a 5-day basis, and when he pitches at that ballpark, if there's one thing you notice, there's not one empty seat.
The excitement he's brought to that city and the fact that fans are starting to come back, especially on the nights he pitches, I mean, it is so cool to see. It's so overdue, and you can't help but root for Pittsburgh.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
As of July 22nd, we start a new deal with a monster distribution platform called SportsGrid, and we'll be live every day on national radio on SiriusXM channel 159, and we will be live on their national television platform every day from 10 a.m. till noon.
Only on SportsGrid.
Live Game Time Decisions. St. Louis 1, Pirates nothing. Nolan Arenado goes deep off of Paul Skeens. Giving up a run shouldn't be a big deal, but they're now losing. Again, the Pirates are currently getting shut out by Lance Lynn. If Paul Skeens' first loss comes in a game where he gives up one run because Lance Lynn on the other side threw a shutout, I'm going to put the trade request in for him. I'm not above it. I put trade requests in for players before. They don't get accepted or acknowledged, but it doesn't mean that they're not in. Joe Madden helping us go through this baseball board. Joe, let's get over to Coors Field, where the expectation is a lot of offense. How are you betting this one?
Yeah, we saw that yesterday with the Colorado Rockies getting that 9-8 win over the Boston Red Sox. They came alive at one point, but just weren't able to do enough. I expect more runs to come in this. You look at that pitching matchup, Criswell coming out for the Boston Red Sox and Blanche coming out here for the Colorado Rockies. And I don't trust either of them. High ERAs for both. You look at the ERA for Criswell, his ERA on the road is over 5. And Ty Blanche coming out here with an ERA of 5.46 on the season. I do think the first 5 innings, the over 5.5 is where I want to go in this one. That's coming in at -128. And I know we've seen those Nerfies on the day, Kevin, but this one is a Yerfie for me. I'm playing the yes runs in the first inning, coming in at -142. I think the bats on both sides can get firing in that first inning.
Joe, I'm going to be honest with you. As you were giving that great breakdown, I was crumbling, falling apart at the hands of the usual culprits, the Washington Nationals. I hate this team. I said earlier in the show today, I thought about taking Louis Arise for a home run. The numbers made some sense. He was about 9-1. I decided to not do it because why bother? I didn't do it. He hit the home run. Why wouldn't the Nationals give up the home run? I can't stand this team. It's always bad. It's always bad, Joe. It's not my fault, Joe.
Win your money.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it is my fault. I guess I should have bet it. I don't know.
Right? You're going to get wood for the home run. There is still every possibility for that to come in, Kevin. It was what? Plus
Joe,
520
always...
today, I believe.
Yeah, I got plus 480. Joe got a great number. Oh, they just went back-to-back jacks. There goes Jerks and Profar. All right, we love to see that. We love to see it. All right, there we go. National struggling. Great stuff. Joe, A's, Astros. This game yesterday, we saw Oakland get the win. What do you think about tonight?
Yeah, I think Oakland has every opportunity to get another win. They shut out the Houston Astros yesterday 4-0, and this team is clicking offensively right now, Kevin, and I'm looking for another one. We've got 2 pitchers coming out that both don't have a lot of experience, and I do think offensively, the offenses have the ability to put up those runs. I'm going to go back to what I did yesterday. I played the Oakland A's team total over 3.5. It came in and cashed nicely, and I do think they can do that again. You're going to have to lay some juice at -138, and then I'm going to go again with that Yerfie, expecting those runs to come in nice and fast. Now, the Yerfie in this one, it's only -115, so much value here, but both of these pitchers, Kevin, I can't trust them, and I can trust offensively. We know the Houston Astros have been hitting better as of late, taking away yesterday's game. They're going to be frustrated that they got shut out as well. So give me the Yerfie and give me the A's, a team total over 3.5.
Really interesting game. I myself was thinking about playing Houston on the money line. Just felt like a short price when you consider the 2 teams that are matching up here. But then you realize the Athletics are better at home than the Astros are on the road. Neither team really throwing a pedigree pitcher here. I backed away from this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if people kind of get trapped a little bit on some of that Astros money line there, Joe. So it's a great breakdown by you. Sticking with the AL West, it's Mariners, Angels here. Anything you like in this one?
Yeah, I'm backing Logan Gilbert in this one. I really do think Logan Gilbert has the ability to go nice and deep in this game versus the LA Angels. I was shocked at yesterday's outcome with the Angels getting that win. It's still another low-scoring game. We're seeing both of these teams struggle to hit, and I'm expecting the Angels to struggle to hit off of Logan Gilbert, especially today. You can take him over 18.5 outs. I know it's a lot of outs, but I do think he goes deep in this game. That's coming in at +126. He had 21 outs versus the Angels. on the 14th, and he struck out 9 batters, only allowed 2 hits. I think we could see a similar performance out of Logan Gilbert here at home. I'm also going to ride his strikeouts, the over 6.5 strikeouts at plus 100. I know it's hard for a pitcher to replicate what they did against a team, Kevin, but this is the LA Angels. This isn't a team even like the Dodgers or so many other teams out there that could have the pitcher's number after facing them just so much earlier, well, a couple weeks ago. And I think here, Logan Gilbert still has the ability to perform the way he did in that last game.
Yeah, I think Gilbert can certainly be, really good. I still am playing over 7, though, in this baseball game. I know the expectations are always low scoring in Seattle, but I think we can just get a little bit over those low expectations. Close it out, Joe, by telling us what you're doing with this Dodgers game here against the San Francisco Giants.
Jordan Hicks against lefties, he absolutely struggles out there. So I'm looking at Freddie Freeman and Ohtani. I think both of those bats will be nice and hot tonight. I'm going to take both for the RBI. Freddie Freeman coming in for that RBI at plus 120 and Ohtani coming in at plus 110. I'm also going to look at the Dodgers in the first 5 on the run line, laying a half a run at minus 108. I just don't trust Jordan Hicks out here. He's allowed a home run in 3 of his last 4 outings, so I wouldn't be opposed to taking the home run for either Freddie Freeman or Ohtani in this one as well. I think it's going to be a great matchup here for the Dodgers to get that offense really going. We got Langdon Nat coming out for them, and he's been strong. He's 1-2 with a 3.23 ERA. So give me the Dodgers first 5 and Freddie Freeman and Ohtani for the RBIs, Kevin.
Makes a lot of sense there. I myself took Ohtani for the last piece of that Dinger Tuesday. It's Shohei. I don't really need to sell you on it. I don't think so. At least, Joe, fantastic as always. The people see you on In-Game Live. Best of luck.
Thanks, Kevin. Best of luck tonight, everyone.
All right, we are going to hit a quick break here. We'll close it out. We'll run through that baseball card one final time, and we will send you off to In-Game Live, which will have you covered for what is still an awesome, awesome Major League Baseball board. We'll be right back here in just a moment.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think GameTime Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to GameTime Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than GameTime Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into GameTime Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
What he's doing on a 5-day basis, and when he pitches at that ballpark, there's one thing you notice: there's not one empty seat.
The excitement he's brought to that city, and the fact that fans are starting to come back, especially on the nights he pitches, it is so cool to see. It's so overdue, and you can't help but root for Pittsburgh.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
As of July 22nd, we start a new deal with a monster distribution platform called SportsGrid, and we'll be live every day on national radio on SiriusXM channel 159, and we will be live on their national television platform every day from 10 a.m. till noon.
Only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. Closing it out here on a Tuesday night. We're back in the saddle with you on Thursday, of course. Man, but what a baseball board this is. And right now we got a runner in scoring position for the Pittsburgh Pirates, so we'll see what they can do. Look, Skeens right now, 5 innings, 60 pitches, 6 Ks. I would say right now you'd expect them to go 7. Do they have a live props on Paul Skeens? We got eyeballs here for the people one time. Listen, I've still some of the all-time 8.5 Skeens, plus 135. 9, so you would need 3 strikeouts, and I would expect you to get 2 innings to do it. You might get more. He's working quick. Then again, if you get more, how many? Plus 135 is tough. What are there other outs recorded? 20.5, minus 190. So that's to get to 7. Hits allowed, 3.5. How many is he allowed thus far? 2. That's interesting. Minus 135 that he doesn't allow another 2 hits. Minus 190 that Paul Skeens at 60 pitches goes 2 more innings. Only reason that bet is tricky, while he should do it, is first game back from the break. Maybe they're just happy with 6 innings. I don't think that really makes any sense, but you don't want to have those type of questions if you get involved with a minus 190 price is kind of the story. So that would be that. I mean, really, again, with 60 pitches, I don't know about going the full way. But again, him going 8, it's on the board, right? He typically throws about 100 pitches. So 40 pitches for 3 innings isn't impossible. At which point, again, that 8.5 of plus 135 is not a bad idea. We also know he's more than capable of striking out a side. I'd rather play that 8.5 at a plus price just because that's easier to deal with. Unless you're betting everything at the same number kind of thing, right? I guess, if you're laying juice versus you just kind of lay your same unit and then you take back whatever it might be. I think he can still get to that strikeout number, though. Again, through 5 innings, 6 Ks, and it's Paul Skeens. Quickly, just elsewhere on the baseball board, another Nerfy. Minnesota, Philadelphia. I think we have 1 Nerfy on the whole baseball board so far. Out of how many games? 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, a lot of games. I'm not going to keep counting, but you get the story. Yanks are up 1-0. That game's not doing much. Tigers 2-2 with the Guardians. 4-3 Baltimore. Tampa is threatening to add more, but there are 2 outs in that game. What is upcoming for me, baseball-wise? Dinger Tuesday, Bobby Witt Jr., plus 440. Jordan Montgomery's a target guy, no doubt about it. Royals are red hot. He is red hot. That's why I'm also taking the play on Salvador Perez for an RBI at plus 120. This is a lesson that I had to learn from an earlier Dinger Tuesday. And, look, the home runs didn't come in. But then I ultimately just kind of had a nothing baseball day, right? I realized. And because you shouldn't try, you should, if you can, don't cap the baseball board differently because it's Tuesday. You want to look for your home run guys. And depending on, I guess it all depends what type of bettor you are. But if you're a prop bettor, hits, runs, RBI props, whatever it may be, total bases, you can bet those guys for home runs. But don't only bet the home runs if other things are checking out, right? So Salvador Perez, right? Great this season against left-handed pitching, batting 4th. Bobby Witt in front of him, not directly in front of him, but Pasquantino's there. Salvi makes a lot of sense tonight at a plus price for an RBI. Similar story with Brenton Doyle, right? You're getting plus money on a Brenton Doyle RBI. The game total's checking in at 11.5. He's batting 4th in this lineup. And there's plenty of guys in front of him that should be able to make some noise. Blackman and Tovar specifically. We're on the Ezekiel Tovar home run. Excellent this season as a righty against righties. That's where Cooper Criswell struggles, as a righty against righties. Late night, we go to a Shohei Ohtani, Dinger Tuesday. Mashes righties. 23 home runs this year against right-handed pitching. Unbelievable at home. Jordan Hicks, last 2 months, not the same pitcher. Not the same pitcher. The 3.79 ERA is actually misleading. That's just not who he's been. And his struggles have more so come against the left-handed side of the plate. And then the last one there, we're playing it over in that Mariners game with Gilbert and Soriano. So that's the baseball board. In-game live is next. I will see you Thursday. Keep it right here on SportsGrid.